Hi Mum, this is David again. We just finished our FaceTime call on Thursday the 2nd of November and I'm still at the position I was in whilst we were chatting. And I thought what I'd do is maybe make a bit of a video as we walk home so you can get a better feel for where we're living. So I'm still exactly, as I said, on the spot where I was when we were doing the FaceTime. And if I do a panoramic view, if I change cameras, you can see that was the bush I was resting the camera on. There are the cypress trees, and you may just to the left see the roof of the property up here that we'll walk by in a minute, and the hills on the other side. So this little mound at the top, and you can see that's the highest place around across there. A gentleman by the name of Brad lives there. He has two beautiful golden retriever dogs. But I'm on a sort of little mound, and it actually reminds me of the top of Leckhampton Hill, where when you got up Sandy Lane and came out from the trees, it's sort of mounds. And I think those mounds were partly caused by the ancient Britons building a fortress. I don't think there were any ancient Britons here, but this is going down the hill, and you can see looking across the other gulch, that's Harmon Gulch over there. I won't go far to the right because of the sun, and again give you an idea. And there used to be a boat on top of that hill. Always looked kind of funny. It looked like a huge wave from the ocean had lifted it up and deposited it there. So following a bit of a track here, I think maybe, I don't think it's so much travelled by people, but maybe deer come up here and wear it down. I know the dogs wear a track across Sandy's meadow where they cut through the barbed wire fence. So I don't know. Again, it very much reminds me of Leckhampton Hill. Now, if I was doing this live when we were on the call, the picture would have broken up by here because the hill behind me blocks the mobile phone signal. So we're now coming on down to the very top of Hopkins Gulch, and Pepper's right down here. He's leading on the way now, and he's stopping to sniff. Come on, walk on, come on. There we go. So down there is where we've done some of our earlier FaceTime calls. It's just at the bottom, about 100 yards away, you can see. And this is the highest point on Hopkins Gulch. It drops down behind me to the point I just showed you. And the houses down there have their mailboxes here. Looks like somebody's got a package. And we're now heading down. And as I said, it probably take about 12-15 minutes to get home. Maybe a little longer if I stop to capture some panoramic video. And the trees are bare. I don't know, are those birds' nests or cones? I think they're cones. Seems like too many birds' nests. So we're coming down to where one Saturday morning I mentioned on the call that we just had that we saw wild hogs, and they were in the field. You can actually see where they've actually dug up the ground. The grass has been dug up. So I looked over there, they were down there. There was probably about half a dozen, 7. Apparently they're feral or semi-wild. I believe they were raised in captivity, and it was Mama and her babies who are now grown up. And some went power off. Okay, sorry about that. It was my earbuds. Okay, no problem. Yeah, so they were in there. They've just been refurbishing and rebuilding the deck on this. It's actually an extension, an annex to the main house. And they let us know that they're going to be tenting and fumigating it within the next few days. So you can see there, and coming down, in a way, some of this reminds me of an English country lane. Maybe with better weather. much of the year, but still, yeah. So on we go. And Pepper's following me on. He stopped to sniff, I see, over the shoulder. And he's found something to sniff. He'll drop behind, sniff, and then come running down past me, go on ahead, stop to sniff. And that's looking down into Hopkins Gulch. We'll get a better view in a moment. And you can see there's a corral on this house here with the white fencing. And that's the mailbox for the annex, which has its own driveway entrance there. So it's really self-contained. And the main house mailbox could be up on the right, just ahead of where Pepper is. So as we come down, this tree, story to that. In the spring we had a clean up, trimming back tree branches so that there was good clearance for big, large vehicles like fire engines to come up. Our neighbour Chris was helping. They cut one of those branches off. It came down, bounced spectacularly, and came up and did some serious damage to his large pickup truck. And that's what's known as the barn. You can see a light right at the very top on the eaves. It's an LED light, so it's bright. And as we come up Hopkins Gulch, which is in the other direction, the road's down there, we can see that at night. In fact, it's quite useful because we can tell whether the power's on or off. And we'll get to a better place where you can see more of the road below. And there is the main house here. So let's go on. There may be a car coming up. I can hear it below. I don't know if it'll turn off. And again, I'll just give you a view there. Don't want to go too far to the left because the sun's fairly bright. And we'll go on. And I suppose I could stop. Oh, are those berries on that bush there? You may be able to see the red berries. I think they're berries. It can't be flowers. Yeah. Or is it flowers? Still can't see. Oh, it's berries. It is berries. Can you see that? There's always something new up here. And then you can look across. There's a house hidden in the trees over there, and then some bare rock over there. So I'm going to have to change hands with the camera because it's... Oh wait, I'm coming on to where the big slip out was. And there's some more mailboxes here for some of the people. And you can maybe see the row of mailboxes, the traditional American blue mailbox, and some smaller other American style mailboxes. And house 1242 has a box for UPS and FedEx deliveries. And that stand was put in when the mailboxes were moved. The old stands, the two posts there, one of the big rocks. And we're coming to where the road slipped out, and it took about 2 years to get it repaired. It was finished earlier this year, I think it was, now, in the spring. And you can see when they repair roads now, the new regulations, or they have to put a fairly substantial barrier in. So I'm coming down, and I'm going to change hands again because the camera is light, but holding it out puts a strain on the shoulders, the shoulder joint. So we're coming across the narrow bridge, or not the bridge, the road actually used to run out in space over there, and the hill, which you can see, slid down into the valley. And there's a house down there, you can see the smoke. Is that John Jackson's house? No, I think it's another house. There we go. I got so much sunlight glare that I can't see the screen. But we'll come on. later in the day you can see more. I've been up here with Pepper when he was really on a leash after his surgery. We'd come up here in the evenings and it was beautiful about sunset. So peaceful. You can see the planets, Neptune, Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto. One of the nice things about being out here, there aren't many lights to cause light pollution. So this property to our right extends really to just about the corral. It's probably one of the bigger properties up here, and I don't know if you can see the white house through the trees. It may be difficult to see, just to the right of the telegraph pole, and that's the house. And to get up it, the driveway leads across the back of where we are, which maybe gives you an idea of how big the property is. The people up there moved in either beginning of this year or the end of last year, and they have a dog that looks rather like Pepper, and Amber's husband nicknamed it Bovine because he said she looked like a cow, which in a sense Pepper does as well, so I can understand that. She goes by the name, and there's the house. You can see the white up there. She now goes by the name of Vine, the dog. She came down the hill the first time we met her, and then I couldn't believe it, just here on the steep bit, I'll show you in a minute. It's almost vertical. She managed to run down the almost vertical hill. Quite spectacular. And she didn't seem to hurt herself in the least. And then was playing with Pepper. Oops. Hang on a minute, I got a problem. My Bluetooth headset just fell on my arm. Okay, yeah, she came down, I think it was there. It's almost vertical. Or maybe it was there. It was one of the two. Yeah. So, again, this area here looks very much like some of the lanes in the Cotswolds. Just winding under the green canopy of trees. And we have all kinds of wildlife up here. Quite often we see a deer. Sometimes when we're driving up the road, particularly at night, you see a skunk, a striped skunk, black and white striped skunk, running ahead of us, and they tend to run up the road and finally cut off. I've seen foxes up here, bobcats, which are lynxes. The Californian lynx is one of the smaller lynxes. Mountain lions, wild hogs, I mentioned wild turkeys. What else? What else? And of course a range of birds like hawks, red-backed hawks, which are very attractive, and quite a few crows and ravens, and a lot of other smaller birds. I hear a car coming. Pepper. Let me grab Pepper so he doesn't go chasing it. Here we are. You know, I think that may have just gone into the house we just passed. Yeah, I think they must have come home. We'll see. It's up there now. Their driveway ones, there's a little bit of fencing they put in here. And I've got to change hands again for the phone. Oh. So we come down. So looking at the timing, I've been going 14 minutes since I started filming at the top of the hill where we did the FaceTime call. And at the bottom, the road makes a U-turn to the left and then runs below us through the trees there, behind the trees there. And at the bottom there, we're going to not go round the U-turn to the left, but go straight on. And that'll take us on to Dogue Road. So at the moment we're on Hopkins Gulch, which goes all the way down to Bear Creek Road. And Dogue Road goes up and then cuts down. It's a gated road, but if you go through the gates, it goes down onto Two Bar Road, which joins Highway 9. And that's sort of our emergency egress if Hopkins Gulch is blocked by the fallen trees or fire. I've walked up and down it several times. It's quite a steep climb, and the road really, we could probably get down in the car but not come back up. So it really is an emergency last resort. And you can see the house that we passed, I was talking about, just a little bit back, and you saw the white top of. This is their mailbox here, and you can see their driveway running up behind the trees there. And if I come down a bit further, we can look up the driveway, and you can see goes up, and you can see some boxes for deliveries to be placed in, like the FedEx one we saw up, except larger. And then it goes off, loops to the left and cuts across above and behind our house. And the house down there always reminds me a bit of the Bonanza Ranch, is Sandy. It's Sandy who looks after our cats when we're away. She didn't do it this time because we were only gone for 2 nights, and with the dry food hopper and the water bottle, they can survive 2 days without attention. If it was much more than that, we would need to. And maybe you can begin to see what I mean by the Bonanza Ranch. You remember we visited the Bonanza Ranch one time up at Lake Tahoe on one of your earlier trips. And we're coming down. So that's Dogue Road going straight on ahead. I said it goes up and then drops down to Two Bar Road, and then you can turn left onto Two Bar Road and link up with Highway 9, which runs through Boulder Creek and then up over the hills to Saratoga and Silicon Valley. And if you sent a letter to our street address, 1021 Wicket Road, it would be deposited by the US Mail in that mailbox, which is actually John and Carol's. But anyone who uses their street address, whether it's us, John and Carol, or the Mexican gentleman who live in the lower cabin, John and Carol distribute it to us. Most of our mail, as you know, goes to our P.O. box so that we don't have to trouble John and Carol, or if they're not around, we can get to it. John and Carol went off actually, is it a week or 2 weeks ago now? I think it was last week. No, it was the week before, because we were in Fort Bragg last Thursday, so it was the Thursday before, to visit their children up in Seattle. And they do that quite regularly, and they'll be back after Christmas. So whilst they're away, they asked me if I would, check the mail, take the mail out, and distribute it to the other residents, and put it in a plastic container for them when they return. And another view of Sandy's property. That is actually, she did a lot of pottery and stuff, workshops, art at one time, and I think that was mainly used for that. The actual house is through there, you can see through the trees, and that's where Paul and Mara live, and Junie, the Labrador who used to come and visit us, used to live up there. And unfortunately Junie didn't wake up one morning in August, and she was old and died peacefully during the night. Anyway, Pepper, and we all miss Pepper, and everyone misses Junie. She's a lovely white golden Labrador, whichever, I guess it's golden. But Pepper goes up there, we'll go over there to visit her, and she'd come down and visit us. And this is Sandy's fenced-in garden. Because of the deer and things, if you want stuff to survive, you really need to put fencing around, particularly edible type stuff. And you can see Chris put these signs up. Chris, our next door neighbour, who used to live where we live. Yurtville is his place. It's actually number 1012. 1021 is us, and 1011 is Ken. So Ken lives down there, and it's quite a way down there actually. And there is another property on the right. The number's not here because Chris actually bought it when it went on the market. So he actually owns 2 adjacent properties. And Chris, before I get on to Chris, it's an empty beehive. A couple of years ago, Chris had a friend who was a beekeeper who had 2 or 3 hives up here. And you may hear the barking, sounds fearsome. That's Macaulay, the Bernese mountain dog. And another bush with berries on. Chris has a couple of music festivals every year. Oh, it's Toby. Toby, the Australian sheepdog. Pepper's an Australian cattle dog. Oh, here comes Toby, and here comes Macaulay. Here we are. So you can hear Toby whining and Macaulay barking. So Toby's a brown dog. As I said, an Australian sheepdog. Hello, Toby. Hello. Hello, Macaulay. So another view of Sandy's house. Oops, I'm tripping on the unpaved road. And this is what I call Sandy's Meadow. And you may just be able to see a car parked up there. That's our driveway, the top of our driveway. And the meadow cross, and that's where the dogs cut across. And maybe I can show you when you get nearer the trail that they made. And then there's Chris's yurt. So he's got, actually he put up this year, that's the living yurt. And there's another one that we'll see in a moment, smaller, which he set up as a COVID office. I want to have my foot slipping out. And there is the maroon or burgundy coloured truck that the back corner nearest us got damaged when the branch came down, and he said it fixed, and it looks pretty much like new. So that's Chris's mailbox. So what I do is I pick up the mail from John and Carol's box I showed you at the top, come down here, and you can see Chris's other yurt behind the trees just to the right of the truck. So I'm sure he's glad to have that office space. And again, you can see what I mean about the greenness that the rain brought on. And it looks like there's marsh grass there. So I'm kind of thinking that there's probably water flowing underground. It's limestone rock. And these are redwood saplings. Chris had some redwoods cut down, and then they regrow like this. And ultimately, I think one of them will become the dominant one and take over. And again, you can maybe just see Chris's work yurt there, through the trees, and the big yurt to the left. And we're coming on to the bottom of our driveway now. You can see the redwoods going up. So, if I pan to the right, the left fork takes you to, well, the right one goes up the hill there to our driveway, that's our driveway, and the left fork goes down to John and Carol's house. So, and that's our mailbox. Now, the US Mail doesn't deliver to unmade roads, unpaved roads. But Chris, before we moved in, was kind enough to put that mailbox up. So John will drop off our mail there. And if I pan around, the gateway there is the entrance to John and Carol's. They have a big, what's called a fifth wheel trailer. You hook it up to the back of a truck like the red one you can see there. And going down there goes to the lower cabin where the Mexican gentlemen live. And you can see it says maybe 1021C Wicket Road with an arrow pointing down, and just to the left of it is a plastic bag held on the post by a drawing pin, and I just dropped their mail in there when I pick it up. And that's John and Carol's house in there. And maybe I'll make another video, since they're away, we'll go down and just show you. It's a beautiful house. It reminds me rather of the Black Forest. And there's, well, they've got a garden there. We'll do more of it. Again, fenced, and swings for when their grandchildren were younger. The grandchildren are now teenagers, so the swings don't really get used at the moment as much. And we come on. The person who used to own the property that Chris bought, the other property, the second one, which is further down the hill over to the right in that direction, used to play frisbee golf. So that's what that metal caging is. You throw a frisbee in, that's like a golf hole, and flag, get the frisbee lodged in it. And so there's several of those around, I think. They started off just using posts that you had to throw the frisbee at and hit. And then they got more sophisticated. Eventually that person sold up, and there was talk of, again looking at Sandy's meadow there, he wanted to put in a sort of team building rope course, which would have brought a lot of traffic stuff in, and Chris didn't fancy that. In fact, none of us really did. And finally Chris decided the simplest way to solve it was to buy the property himself. Our drive is fairly steep. I don't know, you can see Pepper there. I'm going up a propane tank. Every about 6 weeks, Mountain Propane Service comes and tops it up and leaves us a bill. We don't have to call them or anything, they just take care of it. And there's the track that leads around, looks a little bit like a railway embankment. Goes up round the back of the house to the water tank. The water tank truck goes into John and Carol's driveway, and then there's a fill pipe that goes up the hill. And at the top there, Pepper can hear something, is where the driveway runs to the house that we talked about earlier. And maybe if you look, you can see the bushes just left. You can see the hint of a trail, a little pathway, a rabbit trail across from the barbed wire fence, the field. That's the dog's route, the shortcut. So our house, the Mercedes, and our deck. And maybe I'll do a little more detailed photograph of video around here later on. And then the new Mazda. And if we go past it, the old Mazda, which is 19 years old. And the one that you will recognise is the Ford Focus with the storage container behind. So, Pepper's barking. He wants his breakfast, I think. Trying to get him in short. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to cut it off now. He's heading for the kitchen, going up the steps there. Oh, he wants a drink. He's drinking water. We have a water bucket there. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that tour. It's what, 30 minutes since we started. I'll take a look, see about editing it down maybe. And we'll do another one a bit later. Maybe the house and John and Carol's. Anyway, nice talking with you today. I'm going to have breakfast, so bye.